Good morning, everybody. Well, Merry Christmas Eve to all you horse lovers. I was just over on the Northwood Farms YouTube page doing our weekly Horsemanship Remark Show, which we moved from this channel over onto YouTube. So we do that every Thursday morning at 6:30 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. And today we moved it to Wednesday since tomorrow is Christmas. And of course, I had to bring up the Northwood Farms 12-week horsemanship challenge, which is coming up next weekend. So I wanted to give you guys the quick update. Many of you know the deal, but I have gotten some questions regarding if we're doing it this year. And I have been on a wild mule taming project. Oh my gosh, that was absolutely insane. So that has taken me all my brain cells for the last several weeks. I got my work done, like my real estate work done, and this and that was that. So now my attention is moved to all the cool things that we're going to do both here locally in Western Willamette Valley and also on the Greater Northwood Farms Horsemanship Challenge. So I'll give the very quick rundown, and otherwise you can go to northwoodfarms.com and click on the challenge page and you'll have all the information. Now, there are many copycat challenges, which is great, that have popped up over the last, you guys, our first one was in 2012, right? I can't remember if it was 2011 or 2012. I used to be able to do bracelets for people and write everybody handwritten notes and all the cool stuff. But so basically what it was, or what it is we just commit to choosing one horse. This is very important. One horse only. Oh, here's the other thing, side note, about the copycat challenges is a lot of people, wanted to make the parameters looser, freer, not so restrictive. So if you feel these are too restrictive, I would imagine you could find a copycat. But my rules are my rules, and they are these. So pick one horse, and then we're going to commit to spending 40 total horsemanship hours with that one horse and riding the horse 30 times. Now, here's the thing. If you have a driving horse or a pony, you can declare it a driving horse. And so if you have a riding horse, then what counts as a ride is a 1 foot on either side of your horse, one leg on, and your butt on their back, okay? And 25 of those rides need to be saddled. And this is an old tradition that came up from back in the day because Beth and I, who created the challenge together, we were pretty lazy this time of year. I am so the same amount of lazy now too, by the way. And so not wanting to drag the saddle out, et cetera, et cetera. So we were like, okay, well, only 5 can be bareback. The rest have to be saddled. And if you have declared your horse a driving horse, then 30 of those days need to be hooked up. And that's the deal. So I think, what do we have? Somebody can tell me the variation of the 5 bareback rides for the driving horse. So all equids are welcome. So your donkeys, your mules. I'm not picking a mule this year, but that's coming along. And everybody's welcome. There is no charge to be in the challenge. Basically, I'm going to create a Facebook page or a Facebook group any day now, and then it will be open to request to join. And there's just going to be a few membership questions. Remember, my suggestion is if you're going to share this group, you guys, what I would probably do is share the link to the group rather than once you're in it, inviting people, because if people just get invited to the group, they really don't get exposure to the questions. And then if somebody doesn't answer the membership questions, then I don't let them in, because then it's just a bunch of people who don't even know what they're doing. So it's a pretty small group, I feel like. We have somewhere between 500 and 1,500 people every year. So, I tend to like a little group, but We don't want to exclude anybody. So all that's required, this is all that's required, is you request to join the group, answer the membership questions, and then commit to being a part of the community. And that could just mean, supporting everybody else's progress, but also when you share what you're doing, it supports everybody else, right? But here is the catch. You have to be in by midnight next Saturday. And that's because we have to have an official start time and official end time, right? So it runs for 12 weeks. And don't think that you have to put all your rides, like if you're going to ride your horse and maybe they're not even started yet and it's the dead of winter and you're just going to do groundwork for, a couple months, or we've had, because we have everybody from professionals that are just trying to get to their own personal horse, or somebody who's preparing a horse for sale or whatever. It's just nice that you can have a very clear focus for one horse. And everyone knows that if you put in 40 total horsemanship hours, and certainly if you put in 30 rides, even if they're very, very brief rides, you're going to end up with something at the end of that, right? So you will for sure end up with a product. So don't feel like you have to fit all your rides in at the beginning. I guess that's my point. Now, it does average out to be like 2 hours, 2.3 hours per week. So if you can kind of roll along, that's probably the smartest thing to do. I try to keep myself to that standard rather than catching up. But you could put your 30 days on the horse in March is like my only point, right? So depending on what your setup is, that you could just swing in a 30-day horse towards the end of the challenge. Let's see. The other thing I was thinking this morning was, when you get the challenge started, oh my gosh, we're going to have the worst wind here well, not as bad as you guys in Montana and Wyoming, but we are going to have pretty serious wind in our area today, and it's so wet and dark, all of that. But I'm like, oh my gosh, we are staring at the beginning of the 12-week horsemanship challenge for 2026. And what's amazing is it just sweeps you right into springtime. Because, when you're trying to get something like that accomplished, you're like, oh my God, the days are going so fast. So it's kind of a nice way to just be drawn along into the springtime. And it's always a big decision which horse you commit to. Oh, I should tell you guys this. And you can read all the rules if you go to northwoodfarms.com challenge there. I wrote them out all those years ago because I didn't want to try to remember them on the fly. But one of the things is you really can't switch horses is the deal. Is once you declare your horse, unless your horse becomes lame or dead, you may not switch. If you have to switch because your horse has become lame or dead, then you have to start all over. And that's just a way to keep the standard of what we're trying to do consistent. And that way, when you do accomplish the 12-week horsemanship challenge, the Northwood Farms official 12-week horsemanship challenge, you really have something. And not everybody finishes every year, but you do your best. And so, thusly, picking the horse is a really big deal if you have many horses to choose from, right? And another thing I saw people doing is getting hired to do a horsemanship challenge with somebody else's horse. Because once again, you're going to end up with quite a product at the end if you do accomplish this consistency. The other thing that I have always loved about it is that the 12-week period, which I chose very carefully, because at the time that I put together the idea of the 12 weeks, because Beth and I talked about it a lot, but it's like, how long does it take to create a habit? And it depends on the habit, right? Like if you show up at a horse clinic at a venue you've never been to before, the seat that you choose and the place that you choose to sit becomes a habit immediately, right? The next day, if it's a multiple day clinic, you're going to show up at the exact same place, right? That is very, very typical. So sometimes a habit gets created instantaneously. Other times, if you have had a competing habit for 10 years, 20 years, 30 years. Like, let's say somebody that's trying to change the way they eat. Me, I've done that. You know, then it takes many, many years to create a habit that's going to stick. So at the time that the 12-week horsemanship challenge was developed, it was big to do 30-day challenges. That was like the big thing. And I kind of knew that was not going to catch. You could kind of gut it out, grind it out for that amount of time, but the 12 weeks is more of an endurance situation. You really do have to make longer term plans to get that accomplished. So that was the idea for the 12 weeks. And I wanted to make, the other thing that was really important to me is that I wanted to make it doable for the regular person. And especially, you know, a lot of times I consider somebody that doesn't live with their horses. You know what I mean? Like, I do live with my horses, but I have also at times had horses. I have horses right now at other property. So, and I know a lot of people have horses at boarding facilities, and we really want it to support everyone as best that we can in this whole thing. So I was thinking, like, how many times a week is realistic for somebody to get out there and really put in the time? So we didn't want to have it be, let's take another example of a challenge that takes a lot more of a time commitment. Let's say these 100-day Mustang challenges, which, by the way, hats off to everybody that does those. But that's, you know, doing all of that in 100 days is a totally different situation than doing the horsemanship challenge, the Northwood Farms 12-week horsemanship challenge. 40 total hours, and you can decide whatever you want those to be. And then just the 30 rides is, again, right about 2 hours. Now, if you can get to the barn a little bit more often than that, I personally break these down into 15-minute segments. Like, now every minute counts, of course, but for me, keeping track of 15 minutes, also 15 minutes goes by like that, right? But I always think to myself, like, every 15 minutes counts. And so even if you can just do a little bit, it makes a difference, you know, and your horse gets used to seeing you and gets used to counting on you. And it really does become a habit. So we wanted to make it accessible. And even if you're a professional and are at the barn like 70 hours a week, then even still just focusing on maybe one of your personal horses is a taller order than people think. So that is coming up next weekend. And I just wanted to pop in and say hello. I'll send out a little email to you guys, but remember, you have to be in by midnight next Saturday night. And it used to be that I had to do it by hand, but now I can just set it to cut off the deadline at midnight Saturday night. And then if you're in, you're in. If you're out, you're out. Also, if you are in for this year, so every year, whomever is in the 12-week horsemanship challenge at the beginning of the year, then they're also going to be invited to the Northwood Farms Horsemanship Throwdown, which is in the fall. And that's kind of where all the challengers reconvene and end up at the end, you know, it's the end of September, we all get back together again. So we basically spool up our horsemanship year and then go scatter to the winds for the late spring and summer, and then we regather in the fall. So that is the gist. And once, I do have to just say one more time, I really think that it's smartest to share the group and just say, make sure you look at the membership questions, the description, the membership questions. And this is the first year I have had the northwoodfarms.com website with all the details. Can you believe that? 13, 14 years down the line, I finally have that organized. Holy geez. I also have a few other things hopefully in mind for you guys, but that's it. So if you have any questions, I will be around. You can message me. You know what is really handy? If you have questions, message my page, Emma Daly Klein, because that's just easier for me to keep track of. I'll try to look at the Northwood Farms, but Meta makes it pretty annoying to try to read your messages through a business page. So if you want to hit me up at Emma Daly Klein on Facebook, then that would be way easier for me to answer your questions. But go to northwoodfarms.com, click on challenge. You'll get all the details there. And I hope you guys have a super Merry Christmas and good luck choosing your one horse. I'm pretty sure, it's always funny because about a week out, I'm really sure of the horse that I'm going to pick. And then, you know, I start, the chatter in my mind starts going about, you know, Thursday next week. So I will see you guys all coming up. Merry Christmas, Julie. Share this if you want, you guys. It's kind of rambly. But of course you're welcome to share this. And we hope to see everybody. This is the thing that, you know, Beth and I, who has passed away, we miss her. We love her. She and I created this as best friends, long time ago. And it's been a little bit for me to get wound up doing it all by myself, but you all have made it a blessing to keep going. So definitely wound up this year, and we'll see you guys a little bit more. Keep in touch with this page and look out for an email. All right. Merry Christmas, everybody. Bye.